Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I'm here today with Gail Dixon. Hello, Gail.
Hey, everybody.
We're going to be talking about messages that make an impact and how to create those messages because Gail is an expert on that. I'm Catherine Yarbrough. I'm your host today of this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I'm one of the two hosts of the show, and I'm also a facilitator in the On Purpose Woman Global community and the creator of the Manifesting Clients Academy. And my friend, Gail Dixon, I've actually known for a few years. I've met her in person. We've actually had real conversations.
Back in the days when we did that, yeah.
And maybe soon again, who knows? And Gail is a speaker. She's an author and she's a coach who guides people to hear and express their heart's voice. We're going to find out all about what she means. She is recognized as a top expert for speakers and coaches, leaders, and mission-driven entrepreneurs in crafting their messages so that what they say makes an impact. She has the Heart's Voice movement that she has created, and she's going to invite us to join her on Facebook with that. So I am so excited to be talking with you today, Gail.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Well, when people use the word messaging or message, it's one of those, in a way, jargony phrases.
It is.
Yeah. And so I sort of know what it means when you talk about crafting a message. I sort of know that because I think I'm sort of doing that. But maybe for me and for anybody else who maybe sort of knows what a message is or what crafting a message is, you can just tell us what that means, the basics.
Absolutely. So for me, the message is a verbal or written statement of your truth and belief about something particular, designed to engage others in exploring that truth and belief with you. So a message is a connection vehicle. It's an action of expression, and it's designed to reflect you and connect you to others.
Okay, so let me say this back, what I think I heard you say, because I really want to get this. I'd love to leave this conversation going, I know what messaging and messages are. Okay, because I love what you said. It made sense to me. So what I heard you say is that messages are words, either written or said out loud, words that share a person's truth or belief about something that they want other people to really hear or get.
Yeah.
Did I get it all?
Yes. Messages are the way that we show people who we are and what we believe.
Who we are and what we believe. So just to put this in context for anybody who might be listening, and those of you who are listening, if you already get this, please apologize. I apologize. You don't need to apologize. I apologize for my somewhat ignorance, but for anybody who doesn't get it, I hope this is helpful. So I go to workshops and people talk about your message. I see people like yourself who talk about helping people put their messages together. And so in general, the concept comes from helping entrepreneurs talk about what they do in a way that's going to ultimately get them clients, right?
Yes, but we send messages all the time. We send messages in our conversation. When I reach out to you and say, Catherine, I care about you, I'm sending you a message. That message is, I want to be connected to you. I want you to know that I want to be connected to you. So it's not just, often in this context, we talk about and we think about this being in the context of marketing or sales or promotion. And that truly is the lane in which lots of this work is done. But the truth is in every verbal interaction we have with other people, we send and receive messages. And so as we want to connect with others, we want people to know who we really are. And sometimes those messages are structured and formal. That's a lot of what I do.
Oh, I think you might have frozen up there for a second here. So, all right, while Gail is coming back to us, which hopefully she'll be back in just a moment, I'm going to summarize what I'm hearing her say, which is that I can broaden my thought about messages. It's not just about marketing. Okay.
We back?
Yep. We lost you there for a minute. I was starting to summarize what I was hearing you say, that it's not just about marketing and promotion, right, which is where the concept of messaging often is. But in truth, when we're talking to someone, we're often conveying a message. It could be a request. It could be
right,
sharing that we care about the person. It could be information about something.
Exactly. You know, we have those mundane day-to-day messages. Good morning. How are you? I'm hungry. Let's go here. That's a message. It's a message with an intention. Those messages don't require so much deliberate attention and intention. The messages that we use for marketing, for sales, for promotion, for advocacy require a little bit more finesse, a little bit more thought, and a little bit more structure. But what those are is just the bigger, broader version of what we do in our everyday conversation, which is, I'm here, this is me, let's be in us. I'm me, you're you, let's be in us.
So it's communicating. It's about communicating between
right,
me and the other person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I know that we're going to talk about messages that make an impact. And we're going to get to that for sure. And that's what I want to jump into. But before we do that, would you like to share anything about what got you to this point? Because you're clearly an expert on communication. I mean, just your way that you're talking about this, you're helping me to think about it a little bit different. And you've put a lot of thought into it. So would you like to tell us? Okay.
Sure. I have been a lover of words all my life. My grandfather, who was my person in life, read me. He was an English teacher by avocation, a store clerk by vocation, but he read me Dickens and Shakespeare and Chaucer instead of fairy tales. He made me know, as he brought to life in his acting, the power of words. And he told me that words can do two things. Words can hurt or words can help. Make sure yours help. And that has stuck with me all my life. And I am gifted by source. You know, all of us have the gift of language and expression. My gift happens to be more highly honed or more intense. I was gifted by source with a gift of language. I can hear the words and the resonance and the sense, and I can listen beneath the lines and beneath the words and find that match of words to express the essence that I feel. So I spent a lot of my career using that gift in the service of other people's messages and agendas. I was the world's best, well-trusted number two. You know, I gave people all of the words that they needed. And I began to see, largely when I had a situation where I lost the breath to be able to speak, to share that other person's agenda. And I did some pretty tough bargaining with God, where I said, if I got my breath back, I was going to be sharing my heart and my message and my agenda.
Wow, you had a health issue?
I did. I was speaking at a conference presenting the message I was hired to promote. And I started to speak, and I couldn't get the breath to speak. I couldn't get the words out, and got rushed off to the hospital. We discovered that my diaphragm was paralyzed. And I spent 2.5 years on oxygen 24 hours a day, sleeping, sitting straight up in the bed because I couldn't recline and breathe. And it became really clear to me how precious my breath was to support my words, and that it was time for me to share the words that were uniquely given to me, not the words I helped others to frame. So I do the work in helping others to name, frame, and claim, but I also am here to be the spokesperson about how important it is that we speak our heart's message and our heart's intent, and how important it is that we speak with our voice and what's in us, and not with the voices of should and ought and what all of the voices around us tell us that we need to be. You know, there is something in each of us, something that rests in our heart that is what I call a little piece of the divine truth. I believe we each have a piece of it, and that when we put all those pieces together in authentic expression, we come to the unity that we're meant to be, the one whole of human community. And so many of us, sometimes we have a hard time hearing that voice in us that says who we are and what we believe, because there's such noise in the world. Sometimes we spend so much time serving those other voices that we don't know. And sometimes when we hear that voice, it feels risky or scary to express it, or we can't find room, and we don't know who will receive what and who we are. And so, you know, I'm committed to creating in the Heart's Voice movement a community of people who want to use the sacred gift of language and expression for good in the world, and who want to counter the ways in which we have essentially abused that sacred gift. You know, I like to say that I want people to use language to create and connect rather than to divide and destroy.
Well, I'm so glad that you got your breath back.
Me too.
And you made that promise with source, with God, whatever, to share your message, because it's powerful. I mean, I moved to tears and this is, of course, isn't the first time I've heard you speak, but you touch me. Your words often touch me, and this invitation to be part of the Heart's Voice movement. I am in your Facebook group, and I look forward to being more active in the movement.
Yeah, and I look forward to us having a more vibrant community where we can hold one another up and share each other's expression and build that. And build, you know, I talk about, my vision is that one day we will all speak with the heart's voice, and that language will heal the world. Now, I may not see that in my lifetime, but that's where we're going. For us to have the collective conversation be focused on love and connection and good, to be focused on justice and growth and contribution. And I want us to build a critical mass of people. You know, that theory about the 100th monkey.
Yes.
That I want to build the 100th monkey that shifts the collective conversation. Heartfelt communication.
I love it. Well, I'm in, and y'all, if you're watching this, I did put the link to Gail's Facebook group, the Heart's Voice movement, type in Heart's Voice Movement or find the link in the beginning part. And if you're watching this, give us a message. I'm trying to see who's here, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And so we'll definitely respond at some point if we don't get to it here, because I can't quite figure out how this gets set up to where I see it. But if you're
there
here,
are too many things to watch sometimes.
well, if you're here, at least say hi that you're watching, or if you're watching the replay, say hi and you're watching the replay. And if you've got a question for Gail, then please put it in there. I'll make sure that she knows about it. But Gail, I want to move us along today in finding more about what each one of us who is listening can do. I know you have 3 steps that you kind of pointed to, and you talked about hearing the voice is hard. I know for myself, I think the voice, I guess, it's interesting because I'm being told, I can feel it, I can hear it, teach people to be the fullest expression of themselves. And so I think that that's a core piece of my message. To speak from your core is another core piece of my message that's come through when I've done movement work and speaking. But how do people, tell us your 3 steps and what we can do.
So the 3 steps that I talk about in developing messages that make an impact, or using your words for greatest impact, are name it, frame it, and claim it. And the name it step is that first step where we find the content, we find the core, the feeling and the focus of what our core message is about. That's where we're really focusing on the I. Who am I? What do I stand for? And in your case, when you talk about, guiding people to be the fullest expression of themselves, then I think your core message is about people deserve, or everyone's entitled, or everyone has, everyone can be fully expressed in the world, fully the self that they were made to be. But we, sometimes it's the I am statement. I talk about, I am the heart's voice. I mean, that's the core of my message, the heart's voice. It's what's important. It's what counts. It's, speak and listen. And then you put some words around it so it makes a sentence, but it's what's the feeling? What's the focus? Sometimes that core message, that kernel of the message can be a statement of what should be, what could be, or what shouldn't be. So sometimes, for example, the message is children deserve safety and security. And then your messaging is built around how to create safety and security. Or what ought to be our planet, our planet deserves to be loved and valued. The contrary course of the message is our planet's in danger, we need to act. But it's that core little sentence, little piece of what we know is the result of living in love and living in alignment with how we understand and interpret source. So and you find that really ironically, the first step of learning how to express your message is to get quiet. It's to listen, to go deep and listen to yourself, to sort out what are the I am statements that you want to discard. I talk about, what are you, when you look at an I am statement, what are you if you discard all the roles, responsibilities, and relationships that have bound you or defined you? What are you at your purest? Because, we often say, I am someone's mother, I am a teacher, we define ourselves by roles or responsibilities. And that sometimes those things come with us, that, we have to take on the costume, wear the cloak, put on the mask of those roles, relationships, and responsibilities. And that may not be the truest us. So finding that, listen, and whatever method that you use to get quiet and do inner reflection is the right method, whether it's meditation or prayer or journaling or being out in nature or whatever method takes you into the you that sits apart from everything that pressures you from outside. And so I talk about that as being the content. It's what you acknowledge, affirm, embrace. It's the identity piece.
Can I ask you a question here?
Sure.
So I'm hearing a couple of possible ways in this first naming thing. That one is getting to that core I am.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is about the world or others or a group of people like children.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to first have that I am in order to recognize that others, or is for some people that they're so passionate about the earth, for example, is in danger,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't tune in, they don't need to tune into the I am. I mean, do you understand?
Yes, I do. And it's a really great question. And for some people, the thing that stirs at that identity place is about that external issue or that change. And some is about the internal being that then connects to an issue. And there is, the wonderful thing about this is what I'm presenting is suggestions, guidance, and leading, but you don't have to check off the boxes. If what's stirring in your heart is, I need to say this, I need people to know this, then you've got it. We sometimes talk about if you're searching for what matters, everybody wants to know that they matter.
Yeah.
And that they matter for something that matters to them. That it's what's the message that gives you and your life meaning and purpose. And for some, it's about the who you be, and for others, it's about what you do. And both of those are equally legitimate. When I've had people say to me, I'm love, I'm nurture, I'm faith, I'm kindness. And that's what they want to live into being. And then we talk about, so how do you use language to convey that that's who and what you are all the time? For other people,
how does that become like a marketing message?
It isn't a marketing message. That's why when we go back to the beginning and talk about messaging, sometimes we're talking about the formal messaging that's focused on marketing, sales, and connection. Sometimes we're talking about the messages that give our life meaning, stating who and what we are in the world and connecting to others.
Just for ourselves, even.
Exactly.
Okay. So those are two very powerful, different intentions for your work.
Yes. Yeah, I work in both streams. I work in the more business-oriented stream, if you will. And that's about marketing messages. It's about, promoting and sharing your gifts, talents, services to the world and making the connection with the people who will follow your movement, buy your product, be part of your community. But then there's the message, the heart's voice message about who and how you are in the world, how you behave in the world. And that's anybody. You don't need a pulpit, a podium, or a product to have a heart's voice message.
Interesting. And as a person who is an on-purpose solopreneur, entrepreneur, and I work with other on-purpose solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, it feels like the wonderfulness of being on purpose is that those two bridge.
Yes.
And that's not the gift, and not a regular entrepreneur. There isn't necessarily that bridge between the two of who we are and what we're here to do as who we are, being tied into what we do for our making a living.
Right. When you talk about being an on-purpose entrepreneur, you're talking about aligning what you do entrepreneurially with an internally expressed value or set of values or beliefs or intentions regarding you in the world and fulfilling your purpose in the world. And
which is being your heart's voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's both simple and complicated, Catherine. We could over structure it, but getting the essence of it is, who are you meant to be in the world? How do you express that and live it into being? And if living it into being involves engaging others in some way, then how do you craft the message that commands their attention, creates connection with them, and ignites them into action? So that takes us to the framing piece. When we get to something that we feel comfortable is an expression of the I am, the content, the name. And naming is important. I mean, we talk about, if you look at the Hebrew Testament and the Genesis story or creation stories, that creatures knew who and what they were supposed to be when they recognized their names. When giraffe was called giraffe, then we knew what the giraffe was to be. When toad was called toad, we knew what toad was called to be. Naming, the name we give ourselves, is essential to being fully ourselves. We live into our name. We live up to our name. We live through our name. So then when we frame it, we're really now moving from content to context. And in the context, that's when we create the connection. When we identify the others who are the best and most likely recipients and audience for our message, the people who need to hear the truth that we speak. And here's where we speak and share and show who we are in order to engage others. And this is when we move from the I to the us. Or the I to the you. I'm sorry. This is when we move to the I to here you are.
Oh, and the last one we move from you to us. Oh, right? This is getting even more. Oh, okay. But don't let me rush you. Okay.
No, but you're right. That's where we're going. So in the frame it, we've got the context. And this is where we invite others. Okay, this is where we say, are you the person? Are you one here? I invite you to join, to share, to come, to recognize, to be. Okay, and then with the claim it, that is when we articulate the vision and the voice, and that's when we issue the call. That's when we ignite action, and that's when we become an us. That's when we commit and direct our focus and energy toward a change that needs to happen in the world. And that change can be anything from, we need to heal the planet and, stop polluting the water, to we need protective legislation to do that XYZ. We need to band together and see us as a community, however big or small, that is committed to the good and well-being of all. But that's when we become an us. And it's when we ignite the action. And that's when we are fully claiming living into our purpose, living into our heart's voice. Because we use our voice for a reason.
Oh, I love that. Use your voice for a reason. Okay.
You know, it is not in its best and purest, and I would say most sacred form. Language is not idle chatter, purposeful living in right relationship with source and each other.
That is beautiful. Language is not idle chatter. In its best, it's not idle chatter, but oh, I forgot the rest.
But purposeful living into for ourselves and each other. You know, living into right relationship
Right relationship with ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
Purposeful living in right relationship with ourselves and each other. Beautiful. Language. Yes.
So,
Thank you.
So when I talk about creating messages that make an impact, we want to see all three of those pieces in a message that will make the maximum impact. We want to get a clear expression of the identity, a welcoming invitation to the connection, and a clear call to what action will be taken. And that's when a message makes an impact. So when I say, like, for example, for the Heart's Voice movement, it's, you know, I talk about, I'm the heart's voice. I am inviting you to use the power of language and listening for your good, the good of others, and the good of humanity. And I call on you to make a commitment to speaking your heart's truth, connecting with others who are meant to hear it, and causing or igniting the action that will bring your truth into being.
Beautiful. And that's what you want. You want to touch. I mean, I'm feeling it. I'm touched. I'm inspired. The words resonate at every level. That's what we want to do, is create messages like that. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to do that.
So, you know, then obviously to do that, then we do when folks are in, and the folks that I work with are engaged in that, then we do the wordsmithing piece. How do you create, you know, how do you choose words when you're putting your frame around it? How do you choose words that resonate and that touch people and that compel a connection? What is that? What are the words that your intended audience needs to hear to engage and cement the connection? And then we talk about what are the words that propel to action. So we talk about, you know, what do you stand for? What do you stand against? What should be, what could be, what shouldn't be, all of those things. We work through that to find the language. And again, you know, language is a gift and a tool, a living entity and vibration. And what we want to do is use our language to create vibration that sustains and moves out in the ripples out into the world. So we choose our language in a way that sustains and creates that vibration. So you'll hear me often, and you've heard through the course of this discussion, when I frame things in those three things that have the alliteration, the three pieces or the three parts, all of that, It's because when there's a rhythm to that, there's a rhythm to the, in naming, framing, and claiming, we identify, invite, and ignite. That can create a memory nugget that sits in people's minds, but also goes down to their heart. Because the heart, after all, is a rhythm organ, isn't it?
Mm, mm,
The heart functions on vibration and rhythm and keeps us going with rhythm. And so we find the words that sustain the rhythm that we need to live into our connection. And that's the work. So, I spent time in this interview with you, Catherine, talking about this global framework and the overarching principles and use of it, because I think we can often, particularly when we're in business and doing marketing, we can get into the nitty-gritty details of here this is, and follow this formula, and these are the 3 elements of a 30-second elevator speech, and this is how you write a headline, and all of that. And all of that is fine, but it's technique. And we want technique to rest on a foundation of this principle. Because when we rest on the foundation of the heart's voice, then the technique is the tool, not the master.
I love this. Absolutely beautiful, Gail. Oh my goodness. So I know that we have shared with people your Facebook group, the Heart's Voice Movement. Join Gail and me. I'm a member of the Heart's Voice Movement. Is there anything else, if people wanted to do this work with you and explore, what can they do?
Yes. Later on this month, I'll be offering, again, I just offered last week a message mentoring session, which was a group session where people could come and get a little taste of working on their message, tooling their message, and give me a chance to kind of tune in and listen and help channel the language. And I'll be offering a special one-on-one deep dive opportunity for folks to do a 90-minute session with me to go deep dive in their messaging. So look for that coming in the next couple of weeks. I haven't quite set exactly when that will be, but and in the meantime, if you have a message that's burning to get from you to the people that you need to communicate with, reach out to me and we can talk about that and make something work. But in the meantime, hear your heart and love what's in your heart enough to give it voice into the world.
Beautiful invitation. Thank you so much, Gail. I'm just honored to spend this time with you. It's been a total pleasure. And for those of you who are with us, I sorry, I'm not seeing any comments from live, but if you're here, thank you for being here, and let us know how everything that you heard today landed. You're watching the replay. Tell us what you heard, because I know for me, this just has been really impactful. And you know what, Gail, I don't care if anybody else listens to this, but though I'm sure other people are or will, this was very helpful for me. Thank you.
That's great, Catherine. I'm so glad. Thank you so much.
Yes. So, but for those of you who are watching or will watch, thank you for joining us for this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. Tomorrow on Friday, July 8th, Jenny Robertson will be back. She is interviewing Carol Burbank, and the title is Before We Disappear, The Power of Memoir and the Joy of Sharing Your Story. So I'm sure that will be interesting.
Great, that'll be fun.
Yeah. And so, my friends, if you loved this interview and you want to share it with your friends, share it straight here from Facebook, or go over to YouTube, because within 48 hours of this happening, I'm going to upload it to YouTube. You will find it and the replays of our past interviews. And there is something like 100 amazing interviews on the On Purpose Woman Global Community YouTube channel. So go to On Purpose Woman Global Community on YouTube, subscribe so that you get notified whenever a new interview is loaded, and definitely check out some of the other ones, because we get a chance. You will get to hear from lots of wonderful people. All right, my friends, I am sure I will be back sometime next week. I've got a couple interviews scheduled for next week, so I will see you then. Bye, Gail. Bye, everybody.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you again.